The transport sector was chosen as the pilot sector due to its substantial impact on development and the high level of donor involvement. The success of this pilot in the transport sector will be a game changer that will trigger other critical sectors such as energy, water, health, MSMEs, education, and ICT. Ladies and gentlemen, historically, our development efforts have largely been fragmented, often working in silos and independently. The pilot phase of the NGCS G7+ Secretariat has enabled us to learn that despite harmonization, alignment, and coordinations efforts over the years, there still exist silos amongst the development partners and also the government departments. It is imperative that we break down those silos and foster a culture of collaboration and integration in order to make the most effective use of the limited resources available.
As part of the structure of PGII, the idea is that country platforms should be established to set up coordination mechanisms between G7 partners and host nations. And so we are proposing to use that mechanism to take this program forward. Those platforms are led by host governments and with partnering with one country which will help coordinate international donors. And the Chief of Staff spoke about the importance of coordination. So in this context, the UK is happy to respond to the request from the Government of Kenya to lead that coordination of the country platform in the transport sector. And we will work closely with our international partners who we've met and discussed this to try to achieve that coordination. And more specifically, the coordinated delivery of 4 integrated mass transport projects which serve Nairobi city centre, including the bus rapid transit, commuter rail, Nairobi Railway City, and the non-motorized and electronic vehicles project. And we think together those different projects can become a single transformative program.
The Nairobi metropolitan area, and we are happy to have the governor with us here, as the economic hub of our nation and which generates 40% of our GDP, faces significant challenges of congestion and mobility. This negatively impacts the environment in terms of pollution and increases the cost of transport. Decongesting Nairobi and improving mobility are our top priorities as identified in the 4th medium-term plan. The government is primarily focused on improving urban mobility by enhancing commuter rail, bus rapid transport, non-motorized transport systems, and Nairobi Railway City. The selected projects have been identified by the State Department of Transport in the Ministry of Roads and Transport as priorities that will produce real, impactful, and sustainable outcomes for the people of Kenya.
We see this program as genuinely transformational. And in that spirit, we're therefore delighted that we think this project should be eligible for the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment under the G7+ initiative. And for those less familiar, this is a program that was launched at the 48th G7 Summit in Germany in 2022. And so the potential is absolutely enormous. And this program is a flagship program under that initiative, and we expect it to be celebrated that way at the G7 summit next week. So this is a nationally important, but even an internationally important program. And we hope that will help secure the access to international funding and expertise which can drive this project forward.
The quick intervention I'll make at this point on Railway City. Railway City is such a key flagship for us. And we had made a request as Nairobi County that just in the same way the relocation of Wakulima market is part of the project, the relocation of the bus the terminus should also be part of the project. Because if you look at the hub of the NMT, and we're talking about intermodal, transport, some people will still have to end up in the matatus. We have looked for where to integrate them within the central business district, and there is completely no space. The only space we can get is where we have Easy Coach right now, right next to the railway city. If we can incorporate that as part of the project, I think the project will really move faster. And High Commissioner Neil, I hope that we can think about that. We've explored all options. The Green Park has not worked, and in fact, we have proposed change of use of what would be the Green Park terminal. It has not worked. All the pilots that have been done have failed to take off. I know Kenha is currently doing some tunneling around that area, but we need to reconsider. So I hope we can have that conversation, because the Green Park will be a hub for all of these modes of transport, the BRT lines, the commuter rail, etc. I have seen the impact of NMT. NMT has had huge impact, even in the social outcomes of just having dignified way of walking. Of course, most of the people don't walk out of choice. They walk because they can't afford the rest of the modes of transport. But you can see them having a sense of dignity. You can see the children smiling. You can see the women appreciating in the areas where we've done NMT. We want to do more of that as Nairobi County Government, as well as cycle lanes, so that we can ride to railway here, for the next meeting, in future, we should be able to ride our bicycles. Apart from the health outcomes, it's good for the environment. We have a proposal on NMT that would want to present even here. If you look at the Nairobi River Regeneration Program, the Nairobi River, Mathare River, and Ngong River present a very natural route for people to walk. Our rivers were inverted in 1948, where we left that buffer to the informal settlements, and that is why you've seen, after the flooding, most affected were the informal settlements. Because before that, I think the more well-off-to-do people went to the higher areas and created a buffer zone in the 1948 master plan. We want to change that narrative. If you look at the commute from Kamkunji to Westlands along the river, and I'm glad you and Habitat are agreeing with me, it will take you 15 minutes. If you go Westlands to Naivasha Avenue in Waithaka, it will take you less than an hour. But we forced our people to walk like vehicles, on the road. And so that Greenway project, and every cloud has a silver lining. The flooding has enabled us to recover a lot of the riparian. Unfortunately, but it's a silver lining that now we have the space to implement even the first 20 or 30 kilometers of the NMT, and I hope that would be prioritized.
The transport sector was chosen as the pilot sector due to its substantial impact on development and the high level of donor involvement. The success of this pilot in the transport sector will be a game changer that will trigger other critical sectors such as energy, water, health, MSMEs, education, and ICT. Ladies and gentlemen, historically, our development efforts have largely been fragmented, often working in silos and independently. The pilot phase of the NGCS G7+ Secretariat has enabled us to learn that despite harmonization, alignment, and coordinations efforts over the years, there still exist silos amongst the development partners and also the government departments. It is imperative that we break down those silos and foster a culture of collaboration and integration in order to make the most effective use